Hi, my name is Ray, and I've been reviewing art supplies here on YouTube since 2016. And finally, I've met my match. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the worst art supply I have ever found. Like truly, this art supply is so bad, it should be borderline criminal to sell this, okay? Like that's what we're dealing with today. And what is this art supply that I'm talking about? The cheap children's art kits that everybody seemed to have growing up. And look, I understand that there's one reason and one reason alone why somebody would buy one of these kits. And that's because, let's face it, they're cheap. I understand that art supplies can be very expensive. A lot of people are on a budget. So in the description box, I will leave a giant list of the best art supplies that I think are just absolutely awesome that are under $20. And I'll also leave my broke artist playlist, which is full of tips, tricks, and hacks to help you guys get the most bang for your buck. Now, the art kit that I'm getting today, it comes from none other than Walmart. It's 15 bucks. It comes with 72 pieces. And while I'm getting it, let's have a word from our sponsor, Casetify. Casetify is one of the most popular tech accessory brands for a reason. They're known for their huge collaborations and their huge variety of protective phone cases, like their iPhone 14 Impact Case series, which has a 20% increased protection thanks to their EcoShock technology. They're drop safe up to 11.5 feet, which is 5 times the military standard. Okay, so here it is. Here's my phone, as you can see. And see? It's fine. Made with plant-based and recycled materials, but still the case is very sleek and thin, making it easy to hold in your hands or pockets. And most important to me as an artist, with their artist program, they exclusively partner with a diverse group of artists from all over the world, which is so cool because it supports our artist communities. They have over 2,000 designs and even customizable phone cases. They have something for everybody. I got 2 that say my name, this one's reflective, and another one that's just cute and simple. And I also got this super cute phone charm. And they were kind enough to offer my viewers 15% off. All you gotta do is go to casetify.com/SuperRaeDizzle and get 15% off your order. I'll put the link in the description box down below. Thank you to Casetify for sponsoring this video. So the one I got was 14 bucks from Walmart, which is, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit more expensive than I thought I was gonna pay. And it comes with 72 pieces, including markers, colored pencils, crayons, watercolor, and paper. Which at first, I'm like, wow, that's great. It comes with 74 art supplies. That's not bad at all. Until I opened it. Because when I opened it, I noticed that the paper that they provided is microscopic. Like, look at this. Look how small this paper is. It's tiny. And it's not even good paper. It's literally a sheet of printer paper that they cut up into small, tiny rectangles. I understand that this whole thing is obviously designed for children, but if you're gonna make something for kids, I don't know if they have the motor skills or the will or the want to draw on something this tiny. And honestly, the reason that I think that they included these little tiny microscopic sheets, I honestly think it's because they wanted to add to the number of items included. This is the cheapest thing you can add without cutting into profit. You know what I mean? Right off the bat, this is the first thing I saw, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Now let's get into the first art supply, the crayons. I don't even know where to begin. A pack of Crayola crayons are a fraction of the price of this art supply. So that's what I'm gonna be comparing it to today. And the first thing I gotta say about these crayons is that honestly, I feel ripped off. Not only are these crayons shorter than a regular crayon, but they are thinner as well, which makes it much more prone to breakage. And not to get too petty, but it seems like they couldn't even add enough paper to the crayon to make it go all the way to the top like the Crayola. I do like the names of the crayons though. They have kind of like fun names, like the brown is called Hot Chocolate, the orange is called Carrot, which is fun. But the first thing that I noticed as soon as I pulled out one of these crayons is that the wax on these crayons are so soft that if you zoom in on the crayons and compare it to the Crayola ones, these Art 101 crayons, they look like they've been chewed up or something. Like they look beat up compared to the shiny, sleek Crayola crayons. But again, whatever, it's made for kids. It doesn't matter as long as they work, right? Well, no. When used against the cheaper Crayola, you can see how scratchy and clumpy these crayons are compared to Crayola. And not to mention, these crayons, they left little weird chunks and flakes all over my page. Even on the Crayola side, where I wasn't even using the crayons, somehow it also got covered in flakes. Like, make it make sense. So yeah, because of those little flakes everywhere, these crayons were incredibly messy to use. Next up, we have the art supply that I think is the best out of all of them, but it's also the smallest amount in the case, and that is the colored pencils. Honestly, the colored pencils aren't bad. They're a little thin, they're a little small, obviously, they're like half size. The colors aren't bad. They work similar to Crayola colored pencils. The colors are all accurate to what they are. The black is black, the blue is blue. But for some reason, the yellow colored pencil, it's like neon. And yellow is one of the most important colors. It's a primary color. You literally cannot mix any other color to make yellow. So this might just be like a little conspiracy theory, like tinfoil hat on me. Not knowing to put a basic yellow to create artwork, to me personally, that signals that they might not have the basic knowledge of what an artist would want in a palette. You know what I mean? And look, I'm not saying I expect this to be artist quality or anything, but I'm just saying, in all my years of reviewing art supplies, I've never seen somebody mess up the basic color palette, you know? Like, that's kind of a red flag in my opinion. Alright, next up we have the art supply that I think might be the reason that you clicked on this video. Mainly when people complain about using these little cheap art kits, the number one thing that people complain about, of course, are the markers. But upon further investigation, it turns out that the reason the markers were so dry is because you were supposed to add water to them. But luckily the one I got doesn't require water, so I'll be judging these obviously without adding water to them. First of all, I'm just not a fan of the design. The ridges on the cap of these markers, they kind of hurt to take off. Like, it kind of like grips on your skin and kind of hurts. And as far as like the actual use of the markers, my god, are they so streaky. Look at the difference between using the Crayola marker and again how smooth it is compared to these markers. And not to mention that whenever I was creating the drawing of these, within seconds of using the red marker, I don't even know how this happened, but the red sponge part that you draw with on the marker, it shot up into the packaging, and I basically had to get a brush and paint the ink onto the brush to be able to use the red marker again. It was so frustrating. I don't even know how that happens. Again, I'm trying not to be rude, I'm trying not to be salty, but these markers, man, they're just, and I hate to say this, but they were just god awful. And this brings us to the final and worst art supply. Now this one, by far, is the worst of the worst. Like, you thought the other ones were bad, buckle up, you're in for a ride. And this, of course, is the watercolor, which it's so bad, I don't even want to call it watercolor. I mean, ugh. So when it comes to watercolor, I am not picky at all. I mean, I literally use Skittles to make watercolor and I still enjoyed it. Right off the bat, the brush might look fine to you, but the problem is the brush is too big for the packaging and the actual brush hairs are permanently bent. This brush, even though it's not bad quality, it's just bent and I can't do anything about it and it's completely unusable. As far as the watercolor itself, it shouldn't even be called watercolor because it doesn't work like watercolor at all. This watercolor is more like gouache. And if you don't know what gouache is like a weird hybrid mix of acrylic paint and watercolor. And that's exactly how this watercolor works. It doesn't seep into the page, it sits on top of it, which is weird. And then whenever the watercolor dries, it leaves like this weird flaky white crust powder stuff on top of it. I don't know what that is. And as I was doing the swatches, you know, recording it or whatever, I looked down in my paint cup and there's all these weird little floaty things that came from the paint. And then I started noticing those weird little floaty chunks, not just in the water, but all over. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's chalk. I don't know if it's pigment that just wasn't mixed properly. Is it dirt? Is it contamination? I have no idea. And then for the cherry on top, as if all this other stuff wasn't weird enough, whenever the paint dries, if it doesn't have the weird chalky stuff on it, some of the colors, they leave this weird, rainy, sandy, dirty texture to it. Like, you can physically see the dirt or sand or grains or whatever they are in the swatch. Yeah, I have no idea. Truly, genuinely, I have no idea what is going on with this paint. Like, look at this. This literally looks like a petri dish. Uncanny. But of course, I am an artist. Reviewing is not the same as testing it out and actually drawing with it. So let's put it to the actual real test, what it deserves. Let me draw with it. You're stuck at home being so lazy. Hey. Give me some, give me some, give me some, give me some, give me some energy. Wanna come dance with me. Give me some, give me some, give me some, give me some, give me some energy. Wanna come dance with me. There's no fire without smoke, I ain't letting you go. I can see you buzzing like you can't say no. There's no fire without smoke, I ain't letting you go. I hate it. I hate this so much. This was one of the hardest drawings I've done in quite a while, just due to the fact that the art supplies were just so difficult to work with. I had to do a lot of extra stuff just to salvage this, and I couldn't imagine trying to be a kid and trying to figure out how to work with these supplies. And just for reference, in the past, I have drawn a strawberry, and here's what it looked like with colored pencils. So this just...
It's just not it. It's just not giving.
Every single aspect of this art kit, in my opinion, is just god awful. We got watercolor that has weird chunks in it, markers that you can't even use, we have crayons that have less pigment than a candle wax, and microscopic paper. It's just all around rough. This is one of the worst art supplies I've ever used. So anyway guys, that was today's video. Please check out my Casetify link. That would help me a lot and it would help the brand a lot. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Happy drawing, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye.